I feel like I should have recorded the first part of this video like this. I mean, most other language YouTubers are kind of recording their videos like this as well. Shout out to Robwords and Human1011. Really enjoy their videos. I'm also going to be reading this from a script as well because I'm not going to be able to memorize a lot of this. So you're going to see me looking away while I'm talking. Yeah. Alright, so what's going on, everybody? This is part 2 of my updated English alphabet video where I added, changed, and removed some letters in the English alphabet. In this video, I'll be explaining these accent marks in my update and how they can be used in words. Now, full disclaimer, you do not need to use these accent marks at all if you like. I understand that people would say writing letters with accent marks would take longer time for writing. However, for me, I'd rather write with the accent marks because I like seeing how you should pronounce the letters in a word. So you can either write words like this, or like this, or just this. Okay? If you're using the Latin versions of my she and ji, you probably shouldn't get rid of those accent marks because then they would look like the usual S and the Z, and that would look kind of weird and they'll have changed pronunciations. Anyways, there are 4 different accent marks that are used to alter pronunciations of letters and words in my updated alphabet. So let's just begin this part 2 of my updated English alphabet. Okay, first, before I introduce the accent marks, I would like to make some adjustments on my updated English alphabet. I have seen comments in the last video criticizing my update, and I appreciated them. So here's my minor but impacting update on my update. So this letter, G, only has one sound now. It now has the hard G sound, the G sound. This letter in my update will just be called G, not G since it's the hard pronunciation, so G, and since most letters end with E in English, so yeah. What about the soft G sound? Well, we have another letter that already makes the sound in English. It's the letter J. This letter makes a J sound. It was originally meant to make a Y sound, like the consonant Y, like in most European countries. However, due to the French language having a different sound for this letter, which is a ZH sound, so a J, and French is one of the languages that helped build English. The English language then evolved that sound to a harder pronunciation, J. So, in my update, the letter G is now G, and the letter J is just J. It makes the soft G sound always, and the G will always make the hard G sound. Now these letters H and H, they can be interchangeable. You don't need to use the silent H and just use H instead, where it does get pronounced in words like H is supposed to be pronounced. So if anything, you may use both, one that pronounces or one that pronounces and one that doesn't. It's your decision. See what I'm going with this? It's getting customizable with this language in my update. This letter Y, it's always going to be a consonant now. Y as a vowel is just a second I, like E. So any words that have Y as the vowel, it can just be replaced with I. So like turkey, laundry, rhythms, pylon, daytime. So yeah, see where I'm going with that? So the letter Y will always be a consonant, so it only makes the Y sound. Like in the IPA, it's just the lowercase j. Because as I mentioned before, J is the Y sound in most European languages. So yeah, this letter X is always gonna make the X sound, the KS sound, X. So for words that start with X, they would be replaced with Z, since Z is supposed to make the Z sound. I get it that we got the Z sound for X because of the French language, but it is my update and you don't need to agree on what I think these sounds should make. So again, in my update, the X will always make a X sound, KS. And if it's in the beginning of a word, it will be replaced with Z for the Z sound. Alright, so here are the simple explanations of what each accent mark I decided to give to my updated English language. So the first one is called the diaerisis. You might have seen this before. You might have seen it before in the German language, but there it's a different accent mark. It's called an umlaut, which is meant to like change the pronunciation of a vowel. In this case, a diaerisis is different. A diaerisis is placed over a vowel to indicate that it is sounded in a separate syllable. So it separates the syllable in words. So, for example, the words re-enter, cooperate, naive, and even diaerisis as well. Diaerisis. So that's basically the diaerisis. It creates another syllable for the word that have two vowels next to each other. So yeah. Again, do not get confused with the umlaut, like in the German words like Hand, schon, and üben. Those are just meant to change the pronunciation of vowels, not to separate them into separate syllables. The second accent mark I added is called the Macron. You probably haven't seen this before, but I have definitely seen it in the Hawaiian language. It's placed over a vowel to indicate a long vowel sound. So for example, the A in stray, the U in duplicate, and the E in peel. So the Macron helps distinguish these long vowels from their short counterparts, clarifying pronunciation and meaning. The third accent mark I added is called the Breve. You've definitely seen this accent mark before, like in Spanish and French, I think Portuguese as well. It's a common accent mark in the European languages. So the Breve is placed over a vowel to indicate a short vowel sound. For example, the I in internal, the O in ocular. Additionally, when placed over the A or the U, it will make a schwa sound. Remember when in the first video I said a schwa is just it's an unpronounced, like an unaccented pronunciation of a vowel. So A or U under the Breve will be so schwa. So the Breve over the A would be like America, United States of America. Remember when I said that in the first video? And if you put it under U, it can also be the schwa sound, like under. I know there's another vowel that does like a short U sound. It's like I don't remember what it was called, but it looks like an upside down like V. For that one, I'm not even sure, because when I pronounce that vowel with the schwa, it always sounds the same to me. So I'm not really sure. So I'm still just gonna call it a schwa, but it's probably just my perspective, because I know it's different for everyone else. Don't forget about my additional letter and in my updated alphabet. The letter and is used to make the short A sound. So so like bat, calendar, and lab. That letter doesn't have any accent marks, since it's only making one pronunciation. If a vowel lacks an accent mark, it can be pronounced flexibly, depending on the context. If there's an E at the end of the word and there is no accent on it, it can be understandable that it would be silent, since as I said before, French helped shape the English language, and a lot of English words came from French, and a lot of French words have E at the end, and you don't really pronounce the E at the end. Same thing in English, so you don't need to put like an accent mark at the end of the last E in the end of a word, since it's going to be silent. If there is no accent mark on any other letter in the word, you can just pronounce it in any way. And finally, we got the Breve. You probably have seen this. I first saw this in the Turkish alphabet for when the letter was like a letter G and it had the Breve on it. There it was like just like softly pronounce the letter or silence it. That's basically what the Breve is here. This accent mark is placed over a letter to indicate that it is silent within a word. This mark shows that a letter should not be pronounced. it is often seen in silent consonants. So for example, the G in sign, or the G in sign, the K and night, as well as the G or the G, and the P in receipt, and the N in column. Those letters are like silent, so it makes sense for you to put the Breve over them. It clarifies pronunciation by marking letters that should not be vocalized, streamlining the reading process. You can also just remove the silent letters entirely. It's up to you. So you can either put Breves on the silent letters, or you can just remove them. It's up to you. That's what these accent marks are for. They're up for you to decide how to use them for writing. So you can see where I'm going with this updated English alphabet, right? I'm trying to make it more a bit more customizable with these accent marks, like the Diaerisis, the Breve for sure. The Breve for sure is like a very customizable thing. You can just remove letters entirely, or just add the Breve mark over the silent letters. And I know that most letters on computer, like digitally, there's no Breve on every letter. So for like digital, it makes sense for you to like just remove the letter. But if you're writing, you can also remove the letter, or you can just add the Breve over the silent letter in the word. So yeah, that's basically it for the accent marks in my updated English language. The Diaerisis, the Macron, the Breve, and the Breve. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Next video on this series of my updated English alphabet, I'm going to be going over how spelling works. So these first two videos are just to introduce the new letters and the accent marks. The next one will be to show how to actually spell words. And yes, I'm also continuing that document I mentioned in the first video. The document that's like a guide on how to use my updated English alphabet. For sure I'm going to be finishing that, since now I have finished this one with the accent marks. So maybe I'll finish that when I'm finished with the third part of this series, where I go over how to spell words. So yeah, with that, hope you all enjoyed this second part of my video. I really really love languages, and I do have a surprise of that has to do with languages. I'm definitely making a video on that as well. So yeah, with that, hope you all enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya, everybody.
This is a track that I made just to avoid that copyright claim. There is no way you can report me. This isn't copyright, so you can't report me. Do I have to rhyme all the time? No, I don't. I don't need to rhyme.